I mean, just to start off, you were in Illinois for maybe 48 hours when the governor filed that lawsuit demanding that the Supreme Court vacate your seat. What were your first thoughts when you saw that suit, and how surprised were you at how fast Abbott came after you?
I laughed out loud when I saw the suit. Because I mean, frankly, it's embarrassing because this is black letter law. Governor Abbott is the wrong person to file. He filed it in the wrong place. He filed it in the wrong way. Just for someone who used to be a Supreme Court justice, for someone who used to be attorney general, for someone who used to be an appellate judge, a district court judge, and hell, just a licensed attorney, to not understand like what is really first year law school type of information, to get that wrong is embarrassing. And look, I get maybe he's just putting on a political show, try to scare us, or try to show his primary voters what a badass he is. But to anybody who's an attorney who knows what the law is, people were falling out of their chairs laughing. Ken Paxton filed in Illinois, and every attorney that I asked just looked at it and burst out laughing. All right. And I mean, I don't know if the public sees that, but in our world, when you see attorneys make that level of mistake, people were like wondering, like, why are you still there? You should really just like give up your bar license and go home. And whether it's they don't know what the law is or they're gonna pretend not to care, I don't know. But it's frankly embarrassing.
Is there any level of concern with a Supreme Court that has six of the nine justices who were at one point appointed by Abbott being the
Yeah.
one to have the
No,
final say?
yeah, that is the only real fear in this, that the level of corruption has not only spread from the White House into the State House, but is now spread into our courthouses as well. And that is the real concern, that if they follow the law, this case should be tossed out on its ear. But the problem is, so many of the Texas Supreme Court justices are personally appointed by Greg Abbott that I'm afraid that he might be calling them at night and saying, hey, remember who gave you your job, right? You need to take care of this. That's what I'm afraid of. But at the end of the day, if they were still able to throw me out of office, they're going to have a special election right afterwards. And guess what? I'm going to file in that special election and I'm going to win. And even if that doesn't happen, filing for next time is in November. I'm going to file and I'm going to win. I'll be right back where I was.
Speaking of the courts, and I know this decision just came out about an hour ago, but among the first victory for any conservative is Tarrant County District Court granting Ken Paxton a temporary restraining order against Beto and Powered by People from giving y'all any funds.
Yep.
What's your initial thoughts on that?
If you want to know how scared they are, how desperate they are, that's it, right? They're going after a nonprofit funder. Um, they know that we are making waves throughout the country. They know that they're seeing in real time the change that we're having, that we're making across the nation, in not only in state houses, not only in governor's mansions, but in the public. The American people are starting to wake up. That was our goal here, is to wake people up to this new reality and to get them ready to fight. And they're seeing this, and they're so desperate to stop this, so desperate to put any kind of halt to this. They're going after nonprofits.
Yeah, I thought there was something interesting that was said today by the Speaker of the House. He said the political cost of your absence is rising and it will be paid in full, kind of insinuating that he
Yep.
thinks you're on the losing side of the optics battle. How do you feel the optics battle is going?
People ask me about, we did this corn break in 2021, and they say like, why do you see this any different? Because the world is different. Because every American can look out their windows right now and watch parts of their lives fall apart. People are losing jobs. People are losing their education. People are losing their health care. And there's only really one thing left for them to take. and that's our right to vote. That's our power. That's our voice. Um, I think people see that. People are watching this in real time and seeing that their leaders in state are do not listen to them. They do not care what they want. Over and over again, this last legislative session, they watched communities, conservative Republican communities, watch their elected officials tell them that they will not vote for vouchers, they will not vote to ban THC, they will not do this and that, and they would turn right around and do it. Right? They would lie to their faces. And people are waking up to that. And at the beginning of this special session, Governor Abbott said, hey, this is all about helping Kerrville, helping communities recover, defending against future disasters. They didn't even file a bill to do this until Monday after we left and then complained about it publicly in a press conference. So, look, I mean, look, I assume that they singled me out because I'm the leader of the Democrats in the Texas House, and I've made myself a pain in their ass for many, many years. I'm sure they've wanted to come after me for a long time. I mean, there's members of the Texas House on the Republican side who have longed and salivated over the idea of getting rid of me. But I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have to do a lot better than that.
Speaking of those people on the Republican side, right? We've all seen the tweet from Mays Middleton. What was your thoughts when you first saw that tweet and then his subsequent response?
I, I have been dealing with casual racism from our Republican colleagues for the better part of 13 years on the Texas House. And this is nothing new. At least in the past, they had the good graces of keeping it behind closed doors and waiting until they're with their buddies and having a drink before they drop racial slurs. Um, but because of Donald Trump, the hoods are off and they're more free to just say what they want because they don't believe that their constituents will punish them for it. They don't think voters will care that they're racist, that they're casually dropping derogatory racial remarks. I want us to go back to a world, to America, where politicians can disagree without being disagreeable. And I think that's something that the American people want to. But if you want this, if you want to go back to an America where politicians talk to each other with respect and dignity, you have to demand it. You have to fight for it. And you have to punish the ones who don't do that, the ones who do say racist things, the ones who are belligerent, the ones who refuse to listen to people on the other side, like Governor Abbott is doing. There has to be a cost to this, or otherwise they will keep doing it.
Speaking of Trump turning everything on its head, with the current state of the federal government and with U.S. Senator John Cornyn saying that the FBI has agreed to help in their efforts, what's the concern level about the federal government coming in and trying to forcibly detain y'all and bring you back to Texas?
I we had talked about this before we left, and we talked to our lawyers, we talked among members. The conclusion was exactly what it has always been, which is Governor Abbott, Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, they have no powers outside of the state of Texas if they follow the law. President Trump, the DOJ, FBI, none of them have power over this if they follow the law. The problem is these are people who are notorious for not following the law, ignoring the law, or bending the law into a pretzel. That's my fear. But this is why we need the American people to stand up and pay attention. Because as long as people are watching, as long as people are paying attention and they're pointing their fingers and going, look at that, it is much harder for them to do these illegal shenanigans. The more people pay attention, the better they have to act.
Just to wrap up here, you've been doing media appearances all week. You've got lawsuits being levied at you. I'm sure you have to be addressing those issues. You're away from home. How are you keeping your head on straight over this last week?
Just it's like I started running a lot more this last session just to help deal with the stress. And sometimes even when you're tired, when you feel like you just can't take another step, you tell yourself one foot in front of the other, take another step, then another until you reach your destination. And that's what we're going to do. This is tough. This is a sacrifice that we have all agreed to make. Whatever pain that I feel, whatever pain that our members here feel, whether it's about income, whether it's about the fines or anything else, the pain that we feel is going to be nothing compared to the pain Americans are going to feel if our nation collapses, if our democracy is stolen from us, if the people who lie, cheat, and steal are allowed to be rewarded. That's because that's the end of our country. That's the end of our nation. That's the end of our democracy. And I am unwilling to give that up without a real fight. That I want all Americans, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or nothing at all. If you believe in America that should reward hard work and fair play and following the rules, you better fight for it now. You better fight for it while it still exists. And you better give it everything you have because this is the end game. This is the last level. This is the final boss.
Okay, real last question here. The governor told NBC News last night that if you guys are planning on staying out until this redistricting issue is over, you'd be staying there till 2027, 2028. What is the end game in your eyes?
So we've said from the very beginning, our objective here was to end this corrupt special session, that it has been so marred by corruption that it simply cannot be allowed to continue. But we're hopeful that the public will stand up, that Texans will rise up and tell Governor Abbott, will tell the legislature, will tell everybody who's in charge. It is about time you started listening to us. And we have told you again and again that we demand that you deal with the Kerrville disaster. We demand that you help communities recover. We demand that you deal with the $50 billion of unmet disaster preparation needs. But we also need people to stand up and say, if you don't do that, we will come for you. We will punish you. We will vote you out of office because you no longer listen to the people. And if that happens, I hope our leadership will wake up and say, maybe you're right. Maybe the people are right. We should deal with disaster preparation first, help communities recover, help grieving families. And then afterwards, we'll do political shenanigans. Democrats are ready for that. Democrats will come back for that. We're happy as long as the people get taken care of first. You want to crush us under your political games? Go ahead. But take care of Texas families first.